We're going to turn our attention now to Indiana. Closing arguments underway today in the Delphi Murders Trial for defendant Richard Allen.
Richard Allen accused of killing two teenagers, Abby Williams and Libby German, who were hiking just outside of Delphi.
Right now, the trial, they're on their lunch break, but the closing arguments have begun. Court TV senior producer Barbara MacDonald has been all over this case for years now and has been covering the trial for us. And here we are, boy, getting to the end of this long saga. Let's start with closing arguments.
Good afternoon, Ted and Julia. The state went first this morning with their closing argument, taking about an hour and 17 minutes, and said to the jury, if we can determine who Bridge Guy is, we can prove who killed Abby and Libby. And they went through the testimony that the jurors heard over these last 17 days from witnesses who were out at the trails that day and saw a man matching the video that Libby had captured on her phone, and also talked about that bullet found at the crime scene that the Indiana State Police Crime Lab linked to Richard Allen's gun seized in that search warrant of his home back in 2022. Nicholas McClelland delivering that closing argument for the state. He said that the bullet information and the witnesses could have been the end of their case, but was not. Then he talked about those prison confessions, played two of them in which Richard Allen said to his wife and mother, I did it. I killed Abby and Libby. He says now all of the pieces are clear. It is clear that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy, and he asked those jurors to find Richard Allen guilty of all 4 counts of murder that he's facing. After a very brief break, the defense got their time to talk to the jury, and that was Bradley Rosie delivering the closing arguments for the defense. He spent about an hour and 16 minutes doing so. And he said that he's going to talk about several themes: the broken timeline, the bungled ballistics, and the false confessions. He said the state didn't tell you the entire story, but that we did, the defense did. And he talked about the other witnesses that the defense called who were also at the trails that day and did not see Bridge Guy or anybody resembling Richard Allen. He also talked about his unprecedented treatment behind bars in that solitary confinement cell in a maximum security prison for over 13 months, that even the warden of that prison testified he had never seen a pre-trial detainee treated the way Richard Allen was treated. The defense had a very powerful closing to their closing argument, putting up some images of medieval torture devices, including a rack and thumb screws, and talked about how we have evolved as a society since those days and those techniques. But then he showed a slideshow of images of Richard Allen naked, lying on the floor of his cell, a close-up image of him with a spit hood on his head, showed some other images of him in that confinement, and then finally put up a picture of a python strangling some sort of a rodent or small animal. And he says in this example, that python is the state. He said, I only get one chance to talk to you. He asked the jury to set Richard Allen free and to find him not guilty of all 4 counts that he is facing. Now, after lunch, which we get back in session at about 1 o'clock, the prosecutor gets his final time to rebut the closing argument from the defense. He has about an hour and 13 minutes left on the clock, and then a few more instructions will be read to the jury, and then it'll be up to them to decide what happened here and which side proved its case. Ted and Julia?
Barbara, we have not been able to see inside of that courtroom, but you take us there each and every day, allowing us to understand and feel like we are there inside of that courtroom. Thank you for your report.